All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here at 6 o'clock, and tonight is the 28th of April, 2014, and we're going to begin with our second meeting of the month. So if you will, stand with me at this time. We'll have our prayer and Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this gathering time tonight. For those that have attended this meeting, we just ask for your guidance and blessing and wisdom during this conducting of county business. We just thank you for your presence here, and we turn the meeting over to you. Lord, we pray for our friend Sam Russell as he's in the hospital. We just ask, Lord, that you would heal him, make his body stronger, enable him to get to MD Anderson as he has planned, but just watch over him and his family. Also, we pray for our servicemen and women all over this world, that you would protect them, bring them home safely, ultimately, Lord. Once again, we thank you for forgiving us and for dying for us. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item number 1, public comments and or requests for information on non-agenda items in accordance with section 551.042 of the Texas Open Meetings Act. I've got 2 requests to speak. I'll start with Barbara Breckner. Barbara, or unless there's some particular item you want to speak about, this looks like a general request. Okay.
I had submitted an open records request regarding the Riddle Street building to the auditor's office in March, and Carl complied with that request, provided me with information in a timely manner. There was some detailed information that I was lacking, and I then submitted a request to Chris Basham through an email on March the 27th. Although Mr. Basham provided me with the total numbers on the Riddle Street project a few days later, I wanted to know how much work was done by the crew of Commissioners Mike Fields and Philip Hinton on the parking lot, the sidewalk, and the curbing. I did finally receive that information last week from Judge Lee. There's one open records request I submitted over a month ago that has not been fulfilled, and that's for an itemization of payment to Larry Lawrence for $13,842. His invoice states it's for the removal of concrete at the front door, dirt work to prep for sidewalks, and curbing, labor, and material. Also, although Mr. Basham stated he paid Mr. Lawrence $9,000 for construction management out of the $11,000 he billed to the county, I haven't seen any paperwork on that transaction either. I have a little problem understanding how this entire project was apparently handled by Mr. Lawrence when this court voted on December 23rd, 2013, to turn the project over to Chris Basham, who would arrange for bids to flow through the business manager, Mr. James Webster. In fact, James was not involved at all, and none of the bids were advertised for public bids, including the position of construction manager that was assumed by Larry Lawrence. I'm concerned about a significant conflict of interest since Judge Lee's a friend and business partner. I'm also troubled by a lack of transparency and failure to comply with the Freedom of Information request on a taxpayer-funded project.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that I got you the first request that you made to me. That was the only time that I had heard about it.
Right.
I did call Chris Basham and I said, hey, it's important that we get this. He says, yes, I'm having a hard time getting that from Larry. He's out of town this week. Larry has had a hard time getting the invoice from the concrete guy. I said, whatever the excuses are, will you please make this a priority and get it done?
Okay.
Unfortunately, Chris is not here tonight to explain, his decisions on who he hired, but I think that he'll be glad to do that. As far as my relationship with Larry Lawrence, I sure don't mind you asking about that. I would direct you and anyone else to see John Mark Coburn about my full disclosure about that relationship.
And that leads to another question. Do you have a conflict of interest statement on file with the clerk's office?
I submitted that to John Mark Coburn to ask him, what do I need to do? Because I did go to, when I went to school, I went specifically to a conflict of interest class, and we talked about that. And I contacted the girl who did the class, and I said, I want to be sure I'm doing this exactly the way that I should do it. She and John Mark Coburn even talked together, John Mark and she, And John Mark did provide the commissioners and myself his opinion of the situation.
Okay.
And he has copies of that you're welcome to.
But there's
see.
not any sort of statement on file with the county clerk's office?
No, it was not. It was John Mark Coburn's opinion that it was not necessary under the situation, or I would have happily filed it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. And I will again follow up with Chris, and unfortunately Chris is out of town, but I will make sure that he gets you that information. Okay? All right. Keith Kryler's second item.
Judge Lee, Commissioners, one of the items, I was going to wait until Chris spoke, but since Chris isn't here, the main item that I had was on the Cadell building, and it, you know, with the luminant and everything coming along here.
And if you want to wait till we get to that, you can do that, or you
fine.
can talk about it now.
Okay. Well, it's either that, or, I mean, we can kind of go through it, and then who's going to discuss over that? Or you guys going to walk through that? Or?
Yes, we will. And there, yeah, there's an agenda item on there to discuss that.
Right,
We'll
that's what I had,
We'll
so.
specifically discuss the Cadell building.
Okay, that'll work out.
So you want to just wait till then?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll wait.
All right, item number 2 is consider and possibly approve minutes from the April 14th regular meeting of Commissioners Court.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, motion by Commissioner Hinton. Second by Commissioner Hockaday. All those in favor of approval of the minutes from our April 14 meeting, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item number 3, status report on Titus County pass-through projects. I do have a letter here. This is the only thing that I wanted to report on tonight since we did get a full report at the last meeting. I do want to read this, and I've given you a copy, Commissioners, for you to follow along. This was a letter that was written from PTP Transportation to Mr. Pat, I'm not sure how you pronounce this, Plunick, Vice President, Texas Operations, James Construction Group. James is the company that's handling our FM 1000 or 4000 project, the one on the southeast side of town. Mr. Plunick, PTP Transportation, is writing to express concern regarding the current progress of the FM 1000 project in Titus County. This concern has been ongoing, with concerns being addressed to project staff and most recently with Mr. Jim Rogers. The scheduled completion date has been slipping throughout the duration of the project, with the exception of the period from November through January of 2014, where the date remained unchanged. At the current time, the project is projected to finish in December 2014 and be over 40 working days behind schedule. The primary concern involving the project include the slower production rates on the retaining walls, the accumulation of float activities that are writing the data date, and most notably the seal coat calendar approaching. The critical activity currently on the project is the construction of both retaining wall units for the Union Pacific Railroad overpass. The activities for this work indicated that both sides would be constructed simultaneously and take approximately 40 working days. Since the beginning of this work in mid-March, 28 days have elapsed and work continues on the lower half of the wall. The continual accumulation of float activities that are writing the data date is becoming a concern, since these are all activities that must be completed. And if they are held until the end of the project or progress is not made, then these activities as a group could become the critical item of work and push the project completion further. The most notable concern is the seal coat calendar requirement on the project and the lack of progress being made to be ready to place the seal coat by the end of this period. As has been explained to James Construction Group staff on many occasions, the seal coat calendar included in the project plans is a definitive calendar that cannot be adjusted. This is a requirement set forth by the local district from TxDOT and has been enforced on other 2 projects PTP has managed. The direction that TxDOT has given to PTP is, in order for the project to be accepted without performing a maintenance period, all seal coat must be placed during the stated season. Just as a side note, what he's talking about is seal coat has got to be put down during the warm part of the year. There's a certain date, and I'm not sure when that is, somewhere around September 1, maybe September 15th. TxDOT says you won't do any seal coat application after that date. You've got to fall within that window, or we're going to bump you till the following year when things warm up again. Back to the letter. If placement is performed beyond the end of the season, TxDOT will force Titus County to hold the project without acceptance for a maintenance period to include both a winter season and summer to evaluate the seal coat performance. This withholding of acceptance and maintenance both jeopardizes Titus County from receiving their reimbursement and increases the cost by having to perform maintenance of the roadway during this time. This issue has been addressed during project meetings with both project managers, Eric Lafitte and Scott Pickett, and with Jim Rogers in a meeting on February 5, 2014. This meeting was also attended by County Commissioners Mike Fields and Thomas Hockaday. PTP and the county have been told that there is nothing to worry about and that James Construction Group has the resources available to meet the deadlines, but the concern remains as no additional resources have been brought to the project and work remains at a slow rate. During the February meeting, it was stated by Mr. Rogers that on other TxDOT projects, the contractor can suspend time when outside the asphalt season. At that time, PTP told both Mr. Rogers and Mr. Pickett that no time suspension would be granted for this reason. Based on these concerns, and as the project is over 40 days beyond contractual working day requirements, PTP is requesting that James Construction Group provide a schedule that establishes and shows how key milestones will be accomplished to satisfy the project requirements, including reconstructing the state roadways that cross the project that must also abide by the seal coat calendar. Since the asphalt season for seal coat placement begins on May 1, PTP is requesting this schedule be submitted before this date to be used as an action plan for successfully completing the project. Signed by Mark Heidecker, Project Manager. Any comments from any commissioners would be appreciated. This is about as much as I know about this, although I've had some concerns, and I thought it was important that everybody on the court be aware of this very real situation. We do not want this project going past its projected completion date for obvious reasons. We've got bond indebtedness payments coming due next spring, and we would like to have our money flowing to us on all three projects, including this last one.
This is one of the things that bring up every meeting we go to. They talk to them about it, tell them they need to get more people up here. And I think one of the things that's happening, they'll move those crews, they'll start a project over here doing something, and before they get through, they move them all to another project and start. And they really don't have enough men, it seems like. That's what the problem looks like, and that's what Pate thinks in our meetings. They tell them that. So, TxDOT is real particular about this seal coat, and they're not going to let them do it if it's past September 1. So, I really don't know what's going to happen. They seem to have an excuse for everything.
Well, excuses won't cut it when that seal coat date is missed, and we're holding this project over until next year.
Next year.
And we are not getting reimbursement from the state, and we have a road that's sitting there ready to be seal coated, and it sits there for another 6, 8, 9 months. We've talked about, I've asked PTP about what alternatives are out there, and, short of calling for some performance on their bond, then we're talking about an absolute delay guaranteed. So in the meantime, they continue to yell and scream, and I guess according to what you all have told me, that Bobby with PTP has gotten pretty tough with them, but nonetheless, we've yet to see any real improvement in this pace.
Yeah, he gets on them pretty heavy. I don't know what the answer would be.
You have any different read on this?
No, that's same as Thomas. I know Bobby got on him real hard this last, time before and this last time too, and I think he made it very clear. James Brothers, what they were basically saying that we're fixing to bring more crews in, so we need to get on them now and let them know we expect this to happen in a timely manner, and not wait until the middle of the summer and delay it any more than we have to. But I have not been, I didn't go down it today, it was too wet, but I go down it about every other day.
I don't know what effect it's had on it, but they've changed project managers out there twice, I think, assistant managers. I think they got the second one now, Mike?
Yes.
So, you know, and then the guy that does the ditches and does all that, they've changed that, but I guess they go back to Louisiana, I don't, you know, back home. I don't know where they're going, but they're leaving here. And I don't know what that problem is. It's kind of hard to pick that up just sitting around the table. They
Well,
don't really tell you that.
We do have liquidated damages that will come into effect at a certain point, but it's not going to be enough to make up for
Right.
being this late on this project and delaying our TxDOT money. So we're going to continue to keep a close watch on this. As far as I'm concerned, this is a top priority for us.
Because it's going to cost us lots of money if it's not completed on time.
All right. Anything else?
No, I was I went to some of those meetings when they had them scheduled every day, and then I put my email on it, and then they said they was going to wait and call the meetings and notify, and I haven't been notified since. It's like they don't want me out there.
When are the meetings? Are these at a regular day?
When they call a meeting.
Our meetings are at 10 o'clock on Wednesdays.
Wednesday.
Every other Wednesday now.
Every other Wednesday.
And where is that meeting held?
It's out right on the project, out on the, it's a big barn out there, and they got those trailers up on that barn. I think the one you went to, Mr. Riddle, was out on.
Right, but I've been to that one out there. I know where it is, but, and every time you're there, the people in attendance put their name and their email. And I must have done that 6 or 8 times, I guess. Maybe they can't read it.
I don't know.
I should write it a little better.
When is the next meeting? Not this Wednesday, but the following?
The next Wednesday,
10 o'clock Wednesday, that's going to be the 7th?
7th.
Okay. All right.
And when I do go to those TxDOT meetings, we have one on 271 will be tomorrow afternoon at 3:15 to 3:30. And I always, at either meeting, the next Wednesday we have the Tennyson Road project, but I always bring the judge a report, what's been done, what's been accomplished, and where they're at, and what they're trying to get done. And I bring that to his office, to Miss Carolyn, and she gives it to the judge.
All right, anything else? All right, moving on, item number 4, consider and possibly approve renovation and remodel to the Ratliff building to accommodate the tax collector and elections administrator offices. We tabled this from last time to give you all some time to consider this. I've given you a revised packet. I put a few extra packets over here. This is a packet that starts off with a revised floor plan on the Ratliff building. Page 2 there is a breakdown of total costs, and he's got the costs are laid out for you there on 2 separate pages. One represents one half of the building and the other represents the other. One side of the offices, which would be the north half of the Ratliff building, the remodel total cost $134,070, and then on the south half, which would be elections administration, $51,408, total of $185,478, and that is up from the $170 estimate that Chris had given you. And there was a couple of changes here, but predominantly he said it was just getting a tighter hold on all the various costs that went into this total. So you're at $185,478 is his projected cost, including construction management for the Ratliff building. And so that is what we're here to discuss. And along with this, although we haven't, and again, sorry that Chris is not here, as you'll recall, he mentioned to you the need to renovate and at least prepare what I'll call the Cadell building, which is the back southwestern corner of the vacant annex space, which is the 3.5 feet below the rest of the building. that he is proposing be made into a storage area for elections administration. There's too much space there to be completely devoted to storage. He had proposed finishing out about half of it with offices to be used for other county purposes, but I asked him to eliminate anything that was unnecessary in order to get that storage space prepared. And so if you'll flip to the 4th page, I have given you a floor plan of the Cadell building. Keith, do you have a copy of, yeah, you have a copy of that. And so here's what he's proposing be done to the Cadell building. Enlarge a 3-foot door there on the west side facing Madison with a 4-foot door, removing the windows on that building, framing in the windows, gypboarding the interior and plastering the exterior and painting the exterior. New gypboard stud wall to close off the old dock door opening that goes into the adjacent building. New HVAC system and exposed ducts, a new ADA approved restroom, 24-inch wide pine shelving secured to the walls, 2x4 fluorescent lights, and then exit lighting and a new electrical panel. And that total is on the next page, $24,752 to do that work. Keith, at this time, I'm going to ask you to come on up.
Does anybody else have, does anybody in the audience have a copy of this?
I've put about 10 extras over there.
They're all gone there. One of the issues I was just looking at is that it seems like with all the county buildings and even the city with PTPs over there in the old fire station, it seems like this kind of expensive storage that's going to be temporary. And then
it's not temporary. It will serve as temporary, but it will ultimately be permanent storage for some of Leonard's equipment.
Well, if you're going to use that as permanent, then you're going to go ahead and have to go in there and insulate it because you're going to be able to air condition out with one 3-ton unit. I think it's nearly a 19-foot ceiling in there.
Something like that.
And that's a west wall, so I mean.
And I specifically asked him about that, yeah.
Yeah, because you're going to spend more on air conditioning than you would to finish out that ceiling and insulate it. I mean, you know, that's what I'm looking at here, you know, because you can waste a lot more money on AC than you can on insulating and actually finishing out an 8-foot ceiling in there and dropping it down and just insulate. If you're going to use it as permanent storage and from here on out.
Yeah, and that may be the ultimate plan, but I specifically asked Chris, I said, are you just going to leave that building open and uninsulated? And he said, well, you're not really having to cool that building to, you know, typical, you know, occupant standards. You just needed enough to keep it from being humid in that storage area. So in his opinion, no, we don't have to do that at this time, put in a drop ceiling. But he said at some point we could always add a drop ceiling in there.
Yeah. Well, I was just wondering, it just seemed like that was, you know, quite a bit of money if we're not going to just use that for temporary and kind of go from there. All right?
Is that it? Yeah. Thank you. So 185,000 plus another 25,000, essentially, 210,000. Is there anybody that doesn't have a copy that would like a copy? Okay, let me get. Karen will get some right here. Got yours. Just make a copy of that. While the commissioners are looking over this, once again, this would divide the existing Ratliff building right down the middle where the existing hallway is. The hallway would be widened by about 2 feet. The restroom facilities would be expanded in the women's side, approximately doubling that for the additional load of women employees that will be there with Judy Cook's office coming over there. We've enlarged the number of workstations in Judy Cook's office. Automobile would have 5 and tax would have 4. 2 storage rooms plus Judy Cook's office. That would all be on the north side. The vestibules of the vehicle registration and the tax office would each be able to serve as private space for the 2 parties during the election nights. On the elections administrator side, which would be the south half or the half closest to the post office, we have an office for Leonard and his 2 employees. Looks like 14 voting stations, a break room, and then voter check-in during early voting that would also be able to serve as a community room. And it's Mr. Basham's opinion we can easily fit both of these functions in that building with more efficient storage and also with off-site storage for some of the bigger equipment that Leonard has. I'll do my best to answer any questions if anybody has a question.
You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that we're spending $1 million on all this construction for this annex, and we needed a courtroom. We have a situation with Luminant. May the 15th, we'll know something about Luminant. Whether that
probably won't know it that quickly.
And I just think that it's, I really think that for us to rush into this at this time with these drawings and changing them and stuff, that we should wait. We should table this till after May the 15th and then get into the details of this stuff and do what, of course, all along I thought we should have done what we had to do instead of spreading this out, because we're committing ourselves, every time we make one move, we're committing ourselves to that $1 million cost of remodeling this annex. And I don't understand we've raised the taxes by 22.7% in the last 3 years, so what are we going to do this coming year? Just keep spending money? And I'd be remiss if I didn't make that statement and make that going on.
Yes, this is a lot of money, and this decision should not be made lightly.
Look at these numbers, Judge. Can some of these numbers go down when he goes out for bids on this stuff? This is not what he's not, hadn't already gone.
These are not based on any bids. He has not gone for bids on this.
This is just,
and would not go for bids until you prove the project.
Yeah, right. These figures in just his estimates of what he thinks it's going to cost.
And again, while they're looking at that, I'll direct you to the last 4 pages of this document. Here is an accumulation of Titus County contractors that Chris has put together from everyone that has responded to our attempts to get some local contractors to give us their name, contact information, and work specializations so that we have a good pool to draw upon. And hopefully we'll continue to grow this list and include as many people as might possibly be interested in doing work for the county. He's got categories of moving and storage, asbestos abatement, general construction, carpentry and framing, demolition, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, electrical, paving, drywall, plumbing, painting, flooring, roofing, windows and doors. So I've got a good start here with quite a few local contractors. Guys, if we're not ready to make a decision tonight, I'm sure not rushing you. And if we need to take more time, that's fine. I'll give you all the time that you need.
Could I? It is true that we've already committed to building the adult probation offices in the annex, right? So we're in the process of spending that $290,000 or whatever.
It was approved. He is still in the bid process right now.
Okay. So this, we want an approval on this now before we get started on that, or what? I mean,
no, this is a standalone project, as is the adult probation. Whether you delay this, to say no to it, doesn't matter. He's still got that other standalone project of the adult probation renovation.
Okay.
Neither one is dependent upon the other. And even the courtroom project is not dependent upon one of these. What the Ratliff project will do will be to get auto registration, tax payments out of the district court activity area, where we get general public functions into a completely separate building to get us closer towards being able to better secure the annex and the district court operations and probation operations.
Well, the district court cannot be built till you do this anyway, can it not?
So this is done.
Judy's going to have to move before.
That is correct. That is correct. So that project is dependent upon this, but if you did this, you can postpone your courtroom
The rest of it, yeah.
for as long as you need to.
if we would have done this first, then we could have done the courtroom, then we could have done adult probation. Would have been a more orderly manner.
I disagree with you. My number one priority all along has been to get the public functions out of that building. And as long as you're leaving Judy Cook in there, you're not accomplishing that. That's where this whole project began.
If you'd have got this Ratliff building fixed up, you could have moved Judy Cook. That would have been done. Then we could have went to work on whatever we was going to do.
Well,
this should have been when we're
getting adult probation out of this building went along in tandem with getting Judy Cook's operation moved out of there.
I don't understand that.
What part do you not understand?
I don't understand what moving adult probation out of here over in that building has to do with Judy Cook. If you get this building fixed over on Ratliff, you're going to move Judy Cook. Then you could move the adult probation. They have no connection with each other.
You're exactly right. So it doesn't really matter which one you did first. We just chose to get adult probation done first.
Well, I didn't vote for it.
Anybody want to toss something out there?
Well, I recommend that we do this. I make a motion that we approve this and get this done, get started, because this has to be done first, I think. And that was that's the whole holdup. And then we can keep picking this just like an apple. I heard a guy describe one time. It looks good. We keep picking it up, and we're going to find a wormhole on it. Let's just go. Let's get it done. Let's quit looking for wormholes.
Thank you. All right, I appreciate it. I have a motion on the. Let me clarify. Does this include the minimal renovation to the Cadell building in that corner of the annex as part of that?
I don't know about that. I think we should table that part of it.
Well, then let's clarify that. Because we will have to find some storage for Leonard's belongings while we're renovating his half over there.
And it's available now for storage.
But remember what he said, and this is important, that he could do Leonard's renovation project without having storage over there across the street, if you'll remember that.
Right.
He said we can move all of Leonard's activity to the north half of the building, remodel the south half, then move him into the newly renovated and work on the north half without having that Cadell building redone. He said if you moved him into the Cadell building, it would enable him to do the project more all at the same time, but it would not be an absolute requirement.
To work on both sides if we moved him back.
That's right. That was one of the advantages of spending the money to fix up the Cadell building, which will ultimately need to be done. But it's not a requirement. So I'll go back and I'll ask you again, to clarify your motion, would you say you just want to include the $185,000 worth of the work and not include the $25,000 Cadell building?
Right.
Okay.
That's
Motion by Commissioner Riddle.
I would like to say one thing, though. These bids, you know, I'd like for us to be able to look at these bids when he gets these bids in, county.
Absolutely.
Let's go over them
Sure.
and look at them before he makes a decision to, and I'll second his motion.
Yeah, I concur with his motion.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioner Fields?
Okay, the units that they use in elections now, they have to be in a controlled atmosphere. So we're going to have to find some place to put those.
Well, the motion he made, Mike, they're going to be on the other side of the building.
But I'm talking about the machines, or
They're going to be on the other side of the building, my understanding. Is that right, Judge?
Well, once you move Judy Cook's operation over there, you're not going to have room for all that. But you could postpone. I mean, you could just postpone the move of Judy Cook into that facility at the Ratliff building while you're deciding what to do about storage. So I'm not sure that Mr. Riddle is saying let's absolutely don't do anything to the Cadell building. Let's just not do it right now. Let's maybe get a little more information about where we stand with Luminant before we spend that money. And if we can do it without spending that money, I think I like that idea. We could always rent a mini warehouse that's air conditioned to store his machines if we have to. Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion to renovate the Ratliff building at an estimated cost of $185,000, not to include any work being done on the Cadell building at this time, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, thank you very much. Item number 5, consider and possibly approve issuing a request for proposal for a certified insurance counselor. I apologize, I'm bringing this up again. I wanted to discuss it just to do a better job of clarifying, and I have learned some things since I threw this out to you last time. But if you'll recall, we had an approval to go out for simply bids for somebody to replace the job that Bill Preston had done for us, and that was to review quotes that came in from interested insurance companies and tell us which one to go with. I am suggesting that we consider a more expansive role for this consultant. And let me kind of go over some of the advantages. I've written them down for you here. An insurance consultant, if you'll think back about our relationship that we now have with CAPS Insurance, for example. CAPS Insurance sells us no insurance. CAPS Insurance related to our health care. CAPS Insurance's job was to go out and find us a third-party administrator and then to bid out our stop-loss insurance and handle basically the startup and maintenance of our employee relationships with those companies. And so they advised us, and they ultimately placed that insurance coverage with some insurance companies, but did not receive any kind of a commission. So he bid those, the health coverage was bid at no commission. And I'm suggesting this same kind of relationship. If we have a consultant for us that does something more than just simply review 2 or 3 or 4 bids that come in on our county property insurance. The advantages of an insurance consultant, rather than just hiring someone to review bids from insurance companies, a consultant will receive no commission from the placement of insurance. The consultant will receive only an agreed-on flat annual commission. That means any insurance quotes that we get from any insurance company, we will specifically make it clear through our consultant that they are to give us quotes that do not include any commission going to any broker. Item number 2, a consultant will have access to a wide variety of carriers and solicit insurance quotes without commission from those that specialize in the coverage needed by the county. In other words, they will go out and they will hunt down the companies that they have broad access to. A consultant would have the ability to get quotes from any insurance company in the nation. They would be able to identify those that specialize perhaps in county coverage or in coverage for entities of our size, or that had a particular match for what our particular needs were. Item 3, a consultant will be able to get involved with claims to be the county's advocate rather than just accepting disputed settlements. A consultant will keep the county informed of regulatory changes that could affect us. A consultant would monitor ongoing workers' compensation claims and encourage closure on those that needed to be closed out. Compensation paid to such a consultant will be substantially higher than what was paid to Mr. Preston. Brokerage commissions will no longer be included in the premiums we pay. Commissions saved will most likely exceed fees paid to a consultant, thereby resulting in overall savings. Consultants will have credentials and licensing attesting to their qualifications. And lastly, a consultant will have in-depth knowledge of our particular insurance needs and be able to shop accordingly. I provided you with a request for proposal that's rather lengthy, but it's a fairly detailed description of the work that I think we would want to have done for us. And if you want to stick with just the role of a person that comes in every 3 years and reviews 2 or 3 or 4 bids like we had last time, we've already got that in place, and I will continue on there. But I think we could squeeze more for our money by having a consultant that would be representing us and that would shop the various markets and various companies to provide us the absolute cheapest coverage and best coverage.
I thought that's what we did when we sent out bids to these insurance companies to bid on them. They come in and look at everything and then make a bid on it. And then he looks at them and tells us which one was the best bid.
Well, he does, but we're only getting bids from companies that sell their particular product, for example, and he's only looking at it on a once every 3 year basis, as I recall. Isn't that right, Carl? Didn't Mr. Preston work for us once every 3 years?
Because the bids were usually 3 year bids.
And it wasn't that they were 3 year bids. They didn't bid on 3 years worth of coverage. We just essentially said, hey, give us your best quote and we'll stick with you, for lack of a better reason. We'll stick with you for 3 years.
Bids. All of those bids. We didn't get any quotes on our insurance.
Let me say this for clarification. You said that CAPS charged us a fee to find us a company. I see a check every month.
In their role for us with our health insurance is what I'm talking about.
Right, in their role for health. Yeah, I understand. I'm sorry. Yeah, for our health insurance. So he didn't make any commission. Well, every month I see a check to CAPS Insurance. What's that for?
That's their fee. That's their agreed upon fee that we signed a contract.
It's not a commission, it's a fee.
No, it's a fee that they told us up front, this will be your annual charge right here. They put it in black and white, and that's all they're charging us.
And then they do it. Well, so the insurance company has no incentive to keep a customer, us being the customer. What I'm familiar with, the insurance companies bid on my business. And then they try to retain my business. They start ahead of time. Are you going to renew? They want us to renew with them. And then other companies come and want us to consider them.
But you're probably typically dealing with a broker, say one of our local brokers or an out-of-town broker, you know, John Smith who represents Travelers out of Pittsburgh, right, Texas, says, yeah, Al, I want you to renew with me. Well, you're paying him maybe $1,000 a year premium, but inherent in that $1,000 is a commission that's going to him, say somewhere in the neighborhood of 6–8%.
Well, our insurance total didn't go down from changing from first whatever it was to CAPS as a total.
You talking about the medical insurance?
Huh?
You talking about the medical insurance?
Yeah. our health insurance for our employees, county employees. Our total amount of money didn't go down. I mean, it went down.
Are you kidding? It went down hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh, that was only because of the claim ratio on that last year with the first, whatever it was.
Well, it wasn't just claims. There were ways they designed the program, talking through the court, that we put different parts of programs in and things that affected that.
Yeah, they got us deeper discounts with local providers. I mean, there was a whole variety of things that they did. Yes, we did have better claims from, and not not the huge hits that we had gotten in previous years, but they did put us together a better package. In my opinion, I think that they did an excellent job for us, and I'm looking for somebody that can produce those kind of results here.
I don't know. The city has a very good insurance policy, as good as ours, at a lot less cost.
You're talking about health insurance,
I'm
right?
talking about health
Okay, we're on property and casualty
Yeah,
and work
if
compensation.
they could do that in health insurance, they probably do better in health. How do they do it? It's not a secret.
He told you here at the last meeting, they buy all their insurance through Texas Municipal League.
Right.
And we could buy all of our insurance through TAC, and they produce some pretty good rates. In fact, we still got our work comp with TAC. And TAC is a no-commission company, I believe.
But their insurance has always been higher. The only thing they've been able to get is the workman's comp. It's the only thing they've been cheaper on.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But they do bid on it every time.
They bid on everything, but they never have been able to get it because they've been higher than everybody else.
I do think there's a big difference between the two types of insurance we're talking about. The medical insurance deal, there are discounts that you can go negotiate with those hospitals and doctors, and the bigger the company is, better they can do that. I don't know that anything like that's possible with the fire and casualty insurance policies. I'm not an insurance person, but I've never known of anybody being able to negotiate any kind of discounts like that with those types of insurance coverage. So I don't know that.
I do have experience in that, and it is doable. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, going the route that I'm suggesting is going to take more time. It's going to take a lot more of my time. So I'm not relishing the fact of going through a proposal, but nonetheless, I think it would be of ultimate benefit to us. How much will it save? Honestly, I don't know. I'm asking you to consider something we've never done before. Will it absolutely save, tens of thousands of dollars? Probably not.
Well, I like the plan we've been doing. I like the way we've done it in the past. I think that's saved us money, and it's worked good.
Okay. Well, we've got, based on last meeting's vote, that's what I'm going to proceed with unless you care to change based on what I've given you here. And you won't hurt my feelings if you do.
I don't want to change it myself.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, I'll just go ahead and throw it out as a vote just to bring this thing to a conclusion. I would like to make a motion that we approve issuing a request for proposal for a certified insurance counselor. And, sir?
I thought that's what we just got through talking about, proposals or bids. I thought we was going to bid it.
Well, no, what I'm suggesting is that we put out a request for proposal, whereas last 2 weeks ago we were going to just issue requests for bids. And that's the direction I'm going to go unless there's anybody that'll second my motion.
Oh, you made a motion, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I made a motion here that I don't expect to get a second for.
Okay.
And okay, that's all right. And if there's no second, then this will die for lack of a second, and we'll move on to item number 6. Thank you for hearing me out. Item number 6, consider and possibly approve a resolution and order approving the County Transportation Infrastructure Fund Grant Program Agreement, designating an authorized representative, and making specific findings required by the Texas Department of Transportation. There's too much here for you to vote on tonight, but let me tell you what I want you to do, and I want you to understand what it is that we have to do to get our grant money. First of all, the good news is we were approved for, if you'll recall, originally it was $311,000. We finally got $366,000 up from the $311,000. Now that's a 10% match, so it's roughly a $409,000. We'll put up 10%, which is roughly $40,000, and TxDOT gives us $366,000 in the form of reimbursements for our expenses on these road projects. Now the easy decisions will be who's going to be your county representative, and I would assume that you would want to allow me to do that, but I don't necessarily have to be that if any of you would like to take that responsibility on. So there is a resolution and an order approving the County Transportation Infrastructure Fund Grant Program Agreement. That is an agreement that we will sign with TxDOT, which is a separate document than this resolution that I have here. The second thing in this resolution is to designate an authorized representative, and then lastly, to make specific findings that are required by TxDOT. And when I say those findings, I'll mention what a few of these are. One basically says that the county will utilize generally accepted cost accounting practices, that the county has experience in the construction and maintenance of all county roads, that all road right-of-way involved in the project is presently within the county road maintenance inventory, that the county will notify all public utilities, water supply corporations, and common carriers of their plans to repair, renovate, or construct project roads, and that we meet Code of Federal Regulations and United States Code specifications regarding environmental issues, and that these will all be work done on public roadways that's open to all residents as public roads, and that where necessary, all materials required for this project shall be solicited by a standard that's known to be suitable for use in road construction, and the county will require such testing as may be deemed appropriate. So basically, we're making some agreements with TxDOT that we're going to do it the right way, some of these things that I mentioned to you here. Another thing that we need to do is we need to take our list of our road projects. And if you'll recall, we came up with about $1 million worth of road projects, not knowing what our final settlement was going to be as far as the grant total. Well, now that we know that the grant total is just over $400,000, we need to whittle this list down to an amount that does not exceed that $409,000. And I wanted to give you a couple of weeks to take a look at the road projects that you had originally put down there and see which are the ones that we're going to try to accomplish with that $409,000. So between now and 2 weeks from now, I'd like you to read over this resolution. I have no problems with any of it. I want you all to be completely comfortable with it. It's pretty well boilerplate language that was put together for us by Allison Bass. I'll have you look at the agreement that we're going to sign with TxDOT for this amount of money. And then thirdly and lastly, I want you to go through and let's reprioritize these road projects and come up with the ones that we are going to say we're going to do with this $409,000. Any questions before I ask you to table this and give you a couple of weeks?
You want to do let you do the...
Well, you can piece it together, but it really has to be submitted as a total, complete package. We've got to have a complete signed agreement for TxDOT. We've got to have our road projects identified. Those are the main ones. Coming up with a representative is an easy component, but I can't just send that in without the rest of it.
Right, okay. Well, I got a question on this 3140 here. I've already done this work.
And you had told me about that. But this is the original project list that we agreed upon, and I knew you, so we can probably scratch some or part of that off of there.
It's going to be a lot more than but can we be reimbursed for what I've got on here, reckon?
I don't think so.
You mean you already done the work and reimbursed?
I don't think that's the way it was intended, no. But now if it's going to be more of a project than you had thought, I guess we can get some direction on that and make sure that, you know, we just don't want to do anything that jeopardizes, you know, complete, you know, abidance by their rules, so that we don't jeopardize getting reimbursed. So as you take a look over this, let me know any questions you've got. I'll get answers for any questions you've got if I can't answer it.
I make a motion, we table it then to, we're going to do it to the next meeting.
I'd like to get it going as soon as possible and get some of these road projects going, so I'd hate to delay it more than a couple of weeks.
We should be able to do this.
Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner Hockaday that we table this item, and a second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor of tabling all these items related to our road grant, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 7, consider and possibly approve a pauper's funeral for James Edward Rode. Unfortunately, Mr. Rode did not have friends or family to take care of these expenses, and I guess this request was submitted by Curry Welborn.
Make a motion to approve the pauper funeral.
Motion by Commissioner Hockaday and second by Commissioner Hinton to pay for the pauper's funeral. That's a total, by the way, of $950. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 8, consider and possibly approve travel and seminars. All 3 of these are for Carl Johnson's office. Carl and his 2 associates, Christy and Morgan, will be attending, would like to attend the Texas Association of County Auditors on the road area training. This one will be a little closer this time, San Antonio instead of, where was it last time?
Laredo.
I thought it was Acapulco. Was it Laredo?
They went to Acapulco, but it really isn't right.
Training mandatory. Carl says yes. It's 2 days of training, July 17th and 18th. They'll travel on the 16th. Cost of registration for each is $100. Total per diem for meals, 2.5 days worth, $100 each. Total cost of hotel and motel, $256.85. They will travel by personal vehicle. Y'all traveling together here, looks like, carpooling together, about nearly 400 miles each way. Total approximate cost of training, including attendance, meals, hotel accommodations, and travel on calls, $897. Christie's $457, and Morgan's $200. That's the only request I've got. Motion by Commissioner Fields to approve that request, second by Commissioner Hinton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Item number 9, approve oral and written reports of county officials.
We threw on the Hart Bluff Road. We got all those deals.
No, we're through with, well, we've got one small budget in here on Tri-Water. We'll be through with Tri-Water. We have not gotten the bill yet for Bowie Cass or the city. And there was another one, Hartley Gas or somebody, but they didn't think they would have to be reimbursed. So I don't think, but I do think there is going to be some expense for Mr. Riddleman on that better done.
They told me the last time they wasn't going to have any, but that's.
But they are going to have some Bowie Cass on there in the city.
No, they had to retunnel under the road for those 2 houses, and I don't think they had to do anything.
Okay. Well,
other than that.
When the young lady from the text office here the other day, she said there was maybe possibly 2 more, but maybe there's not.
But they had told me before they would have, so that's,
When are they supposed to start work out there?
They can't do the work until all these utilities are moved.
When were they hoping to start work?
they're working on it now. They're going to do the west side. Everything's clear now. The telephone company was the last to get out of the way, so it's just the weather, rain, but they're going to make the, they're going to do that. They're going to pave it, move the traffic over there, and hopefully, that was the construction company's plan was when school was out, they'd do this part in front of the school, closest to the school, the summer. When they come back in August, it'd be open
Right.
by the school. That's their plan.
That was their plan, was to be open by August 15th or something.
Yeah. And that TxDOT with them, they're on that, I mean, they're really close. I didn't realize they supervised it so closely. They're out there regularly, all the time.
Make a motion to approve the oral and written report.
Motion by Commissioner Hockaday, second by Commissioner Hinton. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item number 10, consider and possibly approve treasurer's report. Thank you. Thank you.
Make a motion to approve treasurer's report.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton, second by Commissioner Hockaday. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
If I can get your signatures on that, pass them back. Item number 11, approve budget amendments.
Judge, I have four, number 21 through 24. Number 21 is the district courtroom department. It's just a line item change with their indigent defense.
Indigent defense reallocation, okay, no new money.
Number 22 is a line item change to precinct 4. That would have to do with that rental car that you bought when I removed.
Is shuffling money between culverts and road oil, okay.
Precinct 3, number 23 is a line item change. And number 24 is the last part of the trial order. Brings that total to $456,000. $89,000
Okay.
We pay 94% of that total cost.
And you say this has all been paid at this point?
Yes, that
Okay.
should be all, and that's all, that should be all of it on the trial order.
Any questions about any of these four? Anybody like to see one of these?
Make a motion to approve the budget.
Motion by Commissioner
Second.
Hockaday and second by Commissioner Hinton. All those in favor of approval of those budget amendments, four of them, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You okay? Item 12, sign pay orders and approve payments.
Make a motion to pay our bills.
Motion by Commissioner Hockaday to
Second.
pay bills and second by Commissioner Hinton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Then aye. Opposed, and there are none. Item number 13, closing comments. I'll start on my left with Commissioner Hockaday.
I don't have any. I've got 3140 open. We still like a good bit of work on that cover, a tank car we put in, but it is open to traffic. I have not called the fire departments and so forth because I didn't know what the rain was going to do and how that was going to affect the cover of it. So
Okay.
if it goes this week, it does good, we'll open it up to them later in the week.
Commissioner Hinton?
I meant to say something last week and it slipped my mind, but these past few storms we had, I'd like to, and I don't know who they were, but there were several people that helped us and remove trees from the roads. So I'd like to thank each and every one who had helped on those.
Okay. Commissioner Fields?
One thing, well, I got two things I'd like to mention. Our school was very successful for our employees that we sent to school. It saved the county about $10,000 of schooling. The state sent a person here to teach that school, maintain our school, and the county had saved about $12,500. So that was a big plus, and I talked to all the city and the county workers. I think it was a big help. Safety was a big issue, and I think they all enjoyed it and they learned a lot. Our other thing is our cleanup ended Saturday, and I think that was very successful also. Had quite a few people talked about how much they appreciated it, and it really helped it. I believe our pickup this year is less than we've ever had before, because we had, right there at the end, we had some dumpsters that was not completely full.
They've not picked up my containers yet. They're still there.
Well, they were picking them up today, I think. But they may already
I
picked
didn't,
it up.
you know, they might have done it later.
Oh, I have, Judge.
Commissioner Riddle?
No.
Okay. I've got a couple of things here. Is Steve Austin here tonight? I didn't think I saw Steve. Steve gave us a great report this week. Do y'all get copies of that like I do?
Yes.
Read about that. Steve spent a lot of time and effort working on our courthouse flag poles, getting those back in proper shape and functional, and I learned some part names that I'd never heard before, halyards and trucks that are part of those hanging our flags, and he had to get the assistance of somebody with a big bucket truck, and we put our heads together and came up with EDH Electric, who was able to get us the trucks that we needed. We couldn't get them from other sources. We did get a bill from EDH, but I think that it was very reasonable, but he got those things taken care of. A special thanks to McCollum Cleaners, who took custody of the flags during the process, provided care and services in keeping with the flag code for both flags. So we've got our flagpole out here and on the north side, both working properly. So Steve did a great job there and always does. Thank you to Steve. Tomorrow from 9 to noon, for anybody that would be interested in the topic of children's mental health, developmental health, there's going to be a gathering of probably about 100 people from our area. This is going to be put on by the Children's Policy Council, an advisory committee created by the Texas legislature. And this council submits a statutorily required biennial report to the legislature with recommendations and has a strong track record of identifying concrete solutions for advancing policy for children with developmental disabilities. This is a first for us, and we've got one of our local folks, James Taylor, who offices just north of the courthouse, is a member of this committee, and they're bringing in some good speakers. There will be a lot of folks in attendance that have an interest in this subject, but it's one that does not get much attention, and there's a dire need out there for families with children that have developmental disabilities, mental disabilities. That will be at the Watley Center tomorrow from 9 to noon. Tomorrow afternoon, important meeting at the Civic Center. Texas Water Development Board Region C and D water plan recommendations will be discussed. For those of you that are aware or not aware, Region C and Region D have been bickering amongst themselves, trying to figure out whether or not Marvin Nichols ought to be included in the state water plan. And apparently the Water Development Board has said, I guess we've got to come in and help you guys settle this matter. And so they will be conducting hearings tomorrow at the Civic Center from 2 to 5. If you have strong feelings about this, or if you just want to show support, we are not here to, at this point, to campaign Marvin Nichols as something that we absolutely want. We just don't want it removed from the state water plan. as is being requested by those who are not in favor of Marvin Nichols. But my feelings, as will be the feelings of I think most of the speakers tomorrow, is that it would be a real premature move to remove this significant potential water source from the discussion at this early stage of the process. Let's at least leave it on the table. Whether or not it comes to pass, whether or not they can find something else that is better at supplying water for the state of Texas than the Marvin Nichols, then let's listen to that too. But those that are in disagreement are landowners and those involved in the timber industry, and they desperately do not want Marvin Nichols, but at some point we've got to let sanity and reason control this discussion, and that will be a very important meeting. If you are able to attend, you can speak publicly or you can provide written comments at that meeting.
Judge, several years ago, we signed a resolution supporting Marvin Nichols.
I'm sure that we did, as have other entities. At this point, it's almost like we're going backwards instead of forwards, but they're trying to not even let Marvin Nichols be even included on the plan or even up for discussion. You know, how foolish would that be? At least discuss it. If it's one of 10 different things that are discussed, let it be at least discussed. Okay, next, on May 8th, next Thursday, there will be a ribbon cutting at the Al Riddle building over here. I'm sorry, at the Riddle Street building. That was an intended joke. I was just poking fun at you. That will be put on by the Texas Workforce Commission, and they have invited everyone here to come to their ribbon cutting, May 8th, Thursday, 2 to 4 p.m. Take a look at their new facility there and celebrate with them. That's all I have.
Make a motion with adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton, second by Commissioner Hockaday. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.